Welcome to the First and Goal 365 podcast, the number one source for player development both on and off the field. This week's guest will be University of Miami's Jakai Clark. Jakai will be discussing how he went from a 3-star recruit to the U. Our next guest is former NFL player, now parent and philanthropist Robb Butler. Robb and I will be talking about mentorship, coaching, and toxic masculinity. All on Thursday at 8 p.m. on First and Goal 365 podcast. Don't compare, compete.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? How y'all doing? Welcome to the First and Goal 365 podcast. This good Thursday, we have some great guests. My first gentleman that we usually have, I usually start either with a high school guy or a college guy. College scheduling has caused him to be a little bit delayed. I think he has practice. It's spring ball time. So we're going to switch up the show a little bit. Just stay with me. Some updates I need you guys to stay ready for. Pay attention to the First and Goal 365 page and my personal page. We will be having the recruitment seminar that will be this coming April 23rd. We will do the recruitment readiness. Finally, I'm excited about that because a lot of people think they're ready for scholarships and offers when the offers hit the table, but that's not always necessarily the case. So I don't want anybody to miss an opportunity because they're not prepared when the college comes and puts the offer down or whenever they need to decide on what school they want to attend or go to. So we're going to go straight into the show with just, altering things a little bit. And with that being said, my first guest is a gentleman who we come from the same city. He's a City League football player. He's in the Hall of Fame as a running back, I think. And we are actually in the same graduating class. He played at the University of Pittsburgh, then went on ahead and had a career in the NFL. And now he's a parent, a former coach, and a philanthropist himself. His name is Mr. Robb Davon Butler. How are you, sir? Uh-oh, you're muted. Hold on, you're muted. Hold on.
There we go. There we go. I'm blessed, Coach Block. Thanks for having me on, man.
No problem, man. So look, tell us a little bit about you because you got a huge bio. I asked for a bio. He sent me 9 pages. It was like this long on the text message, this long. So I'm like, I'll let him give his bio and you can tell the people who you are, and then we'll jump straight into the show. So tell us a little bit about you, where you played, what you do, and what you got going on.
Well, first, I'll try to make it quick, bro. I appreciate you having me on the show. Born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, oldest of 3 boys. Mm-hmm. Like you said earlier, went to City League, baby, period high school in the building. So any Commodores watching, just stand up right where you are, man. The best City League program in the land. And so, went to Perry, ended up going to Pitt on a full scholarship. And left going into my junior year, transferred to Robert Morris, looking for more playing time. I was playing behind some dude. He was sucker fair, named Antonio Bryant. Won the top award before Larry Fitzgerald. It was Antonio and then Larry. It was Lateef Brown, Antonio Bryant, and then Larry Fitzgerald. There was no room for Robb Davon Butler. No room whatsoever.
Right.
So I got up out of there and finished up at Robert Morris. Ended up signing a free agent deal with the Chargers in 2004. Played corner, receiver, and then actually safety my senior year. So you see me in the profile pic that you use for the show, running the ball, was returning a kickoff with the San Diego Chargers against the Kansas City Chiefs, my rookie season. So I can see with the big thighs and I look like a running back, but I'm really a skilled player, and that's what made me unique, was to be so big and be agile at the same time. And
you definitely had the big shoulder pads on.
Definitely had I was like, why are my shoulder pads so big? It makes my arms look small. Like,
right.
Look. And then to cap off who I am, man. So, married to my lovely wife Courtney for going on 19 years. We've been together 20, going on 21 years. We got 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls. We live out in Calabasas, California now. Got a bunch of podcasts that I do, groups that my wife and I run, and I love being guest on podcasts. I love watching my kids realize their dreams. I love supporting my wife in all of her endeavors. And now I'm a sales executive in corporate America. I've been in corporate America for the last 12 years, mostly publicly traded companies, building and growing the sales organization in multiple regions and multiple industries now at this point.
Awesome. So we're going to definitely talk about how we got to that point when we get through our 4 downs. So anybody who has watched the podcast before knows we have 4 downs. We have 4 major topics. Inside those topics, we take twists, turns. It goes all types of ways. Sometimes we try to stay specifically on script, but if it doesn't and the conversation gets good, we stay where the conversation is at, okay? So with that being said, we're going to run our first sponsor and our first down, and then we're going to jump straight into the topics.
First Down is brought to you by Lids. Lids is proud to announce 3 new collections created in partnership with the Negro League, Baseball Museum, and the Black Fives Foundation and the original Harlem Globetrotters. Headwear, jerseys, and apparels from each collection are inspired by the original vintage detail previously worn by the pioneer African-American players from each of the 3 iconic sports genres. Arriving in Lids locations across the country soon, so please be on the lookout at lids.com and First and Goal 365.
So as you guys know, I'm an affiliate partner with Lids. So if you have anything that you want from Lids, any caps or anything like that, hit me in the DM. I'll make sure we get you my link, and we'll be able to get you some savings, even if it's just on the shipping and handling. So I'll add me on that. I got my Black Fives hat coming pretty soon, a couple Harlem Globetrotter ones. So I'll be advertising the stuff that they just showed. So we're going to jump straight into the first topic. The first question is, because I asked it today, do coaches go too far? So from a guy who has played youth ball all the way to the NFL, you have that. I got to college, and in college, I can give my insight about coaches going too far. Before you answer, I just want to play a little clip to set the stage on just this is from Last Chance U, and this is a Last Chance U is junior college, correct? Or is it prep?
Right, junior college.
It's junior college. So this is a junior college coach, not a high school. So for those parents who may be watching and think, oh my God, it's high school. This is junior college. It's a little different, all right? So I'm going to play the video, then we'll go from there.
Sit down and shut up. Get your damn headphones off or I'll rip them motherfuckers off. Get them off. Get them off. Look at me like that, you asshole, then walk home. Dropping fucking balls. Griping and complaining about not damn starting. Catch a damn ball. Make a damn play. Shut the fuck up. Don't say a goddamn word to me. That's what I fucking think. Sit down.
Now, thinking of this as junior college. Now, for me and coach and I'm about to call you coach, but you coach, so it can do that. But for me and Coach Butler, we've heard this conversation in locker rooms before, especially during halftime, and don't be losing. So, do coaches go too far? And if they do, tell me where you think that line is.
Got it. So the answer is yes and no. Mm-hmm. This is how, like, let me preface it by saying these are my thoughts and opinions, and certainly my truth within this conversation. But the reason why I say yes and no is because, on one hand, based on the current state of maleness or the lack thereof, especially in our communities, mm-hmm. where we dominate the rosters to the tune of 75, between 75, 77, 78% of, most rosters, the average is people look like little, young men look like us, bro. So yeah. I think that there's certainly a lack of discipline and accountability that is pervasive in this generation, in the mm-hmm. generation before it, that warrants that type of heavy-handedness, almost like a drill sergeant, almost like a military school kind of breakdown. Mm-hmm. I think it's as dangerous. It's a slippery slope, because if you're not skilled in breaking people down and building them back up, if you miss the building back up part, you're going to have broken young men who then need therapy from your reign as a coach.
Okay. And see, I like the fact that you said the building back up, because that is an important. I used to be, as a head coach, I used to be the guy that felt like you had to just have that iron fist all the time. And then I realized the importance of the build up, that building back up once you tear the player down, and not making it personal. Now, let's put on the player hat, and let's talk about like ages, because some parents may have seen that clip and immediately cringe, right? So What age, though, do you think this process of building and building up players but tearing them down, what age bracket do you think that parents should be kind of leery where I heard a coach talking like that, but my son's only 12, you know?
Right. That's a great question, actually. Before I answer that, I will say this, two things to put in the back of your mind and the listeners' minds.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that coaches, oh man, if there's coaches watching this, bro, listen, feel free to flame me. I really don't read the comments, so I don't care. I don't care what you say about me. I'm just going to say what's here.
Yeah.
A lot of coaches be acting like coaches, bro.
Yeah.
A lot of coaches be acting like coaches. They're behaving in the way in which they think a coach should act because they saw some movies. They got treated that way when they was playing as a player. So they're mimicking what they see on TV or what they got.
I agree.
And they said to themselves subconsciously, this is how you're supposed to act as a coach. You got to cuss, you got to yell, you got to scream. And then we see Tony Dungy come in and do it his way. And
completely opposite.
Complete opposite. 100% honorable, 100% authentic to who he is as a man of God, and win Super Bowls. Come on,
didn't
man.
Didn't swear.
So, and then the second thing is, I think that coaches, just like regular humans, lack a lot of emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So to go back full circle to your question, at what age? I think 7's too young. You tear a 7-year-old boy down, even if you have the skill set to build him back up, too young.
Mm-hmm.
And also, on the flip side of that, everybody ain't getting no trophy, and everybody can't start. So this is your introduction into competition if you weren't competitive in school, right? If you didn't compete in the spelling bee or the science project stuff, like sports, you're 7, your first year playing organized ball, and it's too soon for you to just be obliterated, right? Destroy your whole maleness.
Right.
But I think when I think about it, I think 12 and 13 is about right, because think about it. These kids are about to embark on this journey called high school sports.
Correct.
And in high school, I didn't play at Perry my freshman year because I heard about these alleged initiations.
Right.
Allegedly, freshmen used to get their shirts pulled over their head, water poured on them, and then like the old heads would just tear your back up. I was like,
allegedly.
I've never seen this. Never happened to me.
Right.
I didn't play. I opted out. I wasn't trying to find out.
Right.
I'm the dude that's gonna get beat up by the old heads because I'm swinging. You're either gonna kill me or you're gonna catch these knuckles. Like
we gotta go for it.
There's no in between.
Right.
So I think 12. So like the last 2 years on the big team before you go into junior high or JV is when you should start to tear that person. It sounds bad as we're saying it, bro, but that's when you have to be introduced to the tear down.
Correct.
I will say this, and then I'll turn it back over to you, bro.
Mm-hmm.
As a young man, my dad was the first man to tear me down.
Yeah.
My dad was the first man to tear me down. So I had already developed some calluses. Scab had already, healed over.
Right.
And then I was teased a lot as a youngster, 5, 6, 7, dark skin, buck teeth, broke, bummy, hand me down, and growing up in the Broadhead projects, I got it every day. So my dad, then I got the homies. So by the time I got to college, it was like, high school was like, but that's me. So just make sure that at 12, 13, before that young athlete embarks on the journey of high school where they're going to get tore down. And there may not be no building back up.
Right.
That you expose them to a healthy context of being broken down and built back up so that they know what it looks like, and prepare them for the fact that you might not have some coaches who are emotionally intelligent as me when you go off to high school and college. They may not build you back up. So then in those instances, you have to build yourself back up.
Absolutely. And I agree that there's a fine line of building up and abuse. We were talking about this earlier just on social media. I've floated the question in a few groups, and you have to be careful because some coaches will dump their emotional trauma and issues, like you said, thinking that this is coaching and just dumping on a child. And there's a difference. There is a difference because if you see the coach take that extra time with your child after yelling or after practice or in a communication, or if the coach is open and willing to have that conversation seated with you after a practice or after a blow up, 9 times out of 10, he's not a jerk. But a coach who cannot express and be emotionally responsible for the outbreak or for the yelling is when we sit down and we have to say that there may be some issues and problems just as far as the delivery and the communication. So I just wanted to get that initially out there because that's a big thing right now about coaches and how they need to talk, because everybody's feelings has to be validated. And you touched on it as far as everybody doesn't get a trophy. Right. And I'm gonna go in and ask this question before we get to the next one. Yeah. Nobody said football, just like life, is fair. Mm-hmm. And you're going to get reamed out. You're going to get yelled at. Things are going to happen. And players don't take it personal. Right. And if you can, as a guy who's been on every single level, just speak to the fact that it really doesn't change no matter what level of football you're on. This is a part of the game. So if you can just speak to that, because you've been coached on every single level from youth to professional.
Yeah. That's a great point. I don't want to butcher this man's quote, but I'm gonna give you the gist of it. I played for some amazing coaches, from Marty Schottenheimer, rest in peace, to Dan Radakovich and Joe Walton in college at Robert Morris, rest in peace to both of those legends. Wade Phillips, Bum Phillips' son, hell of a defensive coordinator. Rex Ryan, the mad scientist. So Rex, I remember this question makes me think about Rex's comment. Rex said, and Rex shot from the hip, man. I don't know if you follow Rex's career.
Oh, yeah.
As a coach and a commentator, he shot from the hip. He said, listen, guys, if you expect I don't want to hear about this fairness. The things aren't fair. No, they're not fair, but they're equitable. I said, wait. Because we grew up in this, it has to be fair. That's like if there's 4 people, everybody gets 25% of the praise, 25% of the workload. Yeah. Like, that's not life, and it's not football.
No.
It's not. And to your point about how it is as a youth football player to a professional football player, parents are not gonna like this. Some of y'all kids ain't good enough to start.
Uh-oh. Hey man, don't get my show canceled, man. I ain't trying to be on cancel culture before I get started.
Hey, listen. I'm saying this from love, Block.
Yeah.
Coaches, Pee Wee football, even daddy ball.
Yeah.
I would say winning supersedes even daddy ball in aggregate. There may be some outliers where it's like quarterback sucks.
Right.
He's the coach's son. Who's donating all his time and all his money, so he's going to start regardless. But by and large, even daddies want to win, bro. Like I've been a head coach of my son's Pop Warner team.
Yeah,
my son didn't get the ball because he's my son. My son got the ball because he gave us the best chance at winning.
Right.
And if he didn't, he wouldn't be in the game. I don't care. Like as a dad who coached his kids, my kids got it the worst. Yeah, because my expectation level was like this, and like your dad's the head coach, you out here embarrassing the family name, putting that horrible product out there on the field, misrepresenting the last name. Now you got to walk home, man, and you're not getting supper. You know what I mean? Speaking about going too far.
You're right. Don't get yourself investigated.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. The game is the same. There is some politics. I'm not gonna act like there's not politics. For example, a draft pick, the higher the draft tag you get that's assigned to you, whenever you get drafted, you will have more opportunities and more chances to net out, to prove out. Yeah. Why? Because the GM and the whole recruiting department, the director of football ops got together, scouts, and they said that you were a player. Yeah. And then when we got you in here, you may have had a bad practice or a bad play or even a bad game, a bad preseason. They're gonna rock out with you. Now, somebody like me, undrafted, no investment, no sign-on bonus, just his plane ticket, and 3 square meals and a cot, and some per diem, like they could fire me. Like nobody's even going. What happened? No one's even going to ask what happened to Butler. Like what happened to 45? I don't even have a name. Right. What happened to 45?
Yeah, you 4 or 5. That's it. 4 or 5.
You 4 or 5. Oh, 4 or 5's not here no more. Okay, next. Okay, next one, like it's all business.
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying in a nutshell, bro, is that it all comes down to performance.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, yes, there are some outliers. Yes, there are some bums who had second and third chances, guys that got drafted in the first round, because no GM wants to be the guy who made a first round bet on a bust.
Right. We're gonna give him every chance. He got to get every chance.
He got to, because if he don't, then now my job is on the line for being the guy who picked this guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So just understand that it's mainly about winning. There is some politics. I'm not going to cap.
Yeah. And so as you guys can see, like now, there's a gentleman who played professional ball, but we also had a financial advisor on here, and she said the same thing in reference to it's all about performance. You can lose your scholarship if you don't perform. You can lose your job, as you can just hear, if you don't perform. So for the parents and the players that are watching this, you have to perform, perfect your craft. We're going to get into the next question and the next down. So let's rock the second down sponsor.
Let's go.
Second down brought to you by NFL Pro Shops.
He reels it in. Touchdown, LA!
The Rams have won the Super Bowl, and you can get your hands on the official trophy collection, including the Super Bowl t-shirt, hat, and celebration towel. Shop now and get a special offer at NFLshop.com.
So what we're going to talk about next is narrative. First, though, I am an affiliate sponsor for the NFL Pro Shop. So once again, same thing as with lids. Any of your gear that you want, jerseys, any of that stuff, hit me up. We'll put the link inside the comment section, and we'll make sure we take care of you. All right. So how important is it to control your narrative? And the reason why I'm going to say that is because so many players for multiple sports feel as though they don't control their narrative. I was watching a podcast today from The Pivot, which is Ryan Clark, Crowder, and Taylor, the running back, Fred Taylor.
Yeah, Freddie T.
Yep, and they talked to Michael Beasley. Michael Beasley is a great NBA basketball player who went to Kansas State, had a great career, but he unloaded some demons inside of his podcast with them that nobody was expecting. So I'm gonna roll this clip, and then we're gonna talk about it a little bit and just talk about just narratives and how important that is.
Yeah,
where you was about talent, and you say basketball is the only thing you love. Basketball is the only thing you think about. How did the perception?
Wrong because y'all.
I was about to ask
y'all
that.
all think that I just fell on this talent. Like I don't sharpen my shit up. Like I don't work on. Like I don't think. Like I don't look at film. Y'all all see. I wanted to get tattoos because that's who I. You know what I'm saying? Everybody see me and make their own narrative, and I just shut up. I get around you and I get around you and I get around you, and I'm three different motherfuckers. 4, because I'm already here, you know what I'm saying? And I gotta sit there and watch a billion motherfuckers tell me what they think or what they did or what they would have did or what they without hearing shit from me. And I gotta, you dig what I'm saying? And I'm forced to pick and choose what to say, when to say it, and why. And it's like, fuck that now, I ain't got nothing to lose.
But you can control your own narrative.
Now, this old podcast, I just told my man, I just pulled up to this, and I thought we was on some podcast chill on the couch. Bro, this is ESPN. What the fuck is you talking about? You can do this shit now.
Yeah.
When I first got into the motherfucking league, they had to take the fucking Twitter away from me because, like, I'm not these niggas. Like, I've been me way before this basketball shit. You dig what I'm saying?
Well, I played down here in Miami, and I was down here when you got drafted, and I was down here, and we done been in the club together and all, and I was telling them about you. I was like, he's a real dude. Like, he's a real dude. It ain't even about
being a real dude or a fake dude or I'm me. You dig what I'm saying? I can't be nothing else but me. I ain't real to you. I might be real to you. I might be fake to you. I ain't trying to make everybody else happy, but I got in trouble for that. You dig what I'm saying? Like, I literally came in here. With the world. Everything I did was on a fucking microscope. Everything I did, wrong, right, and indifferent. And all I wanted to do is play basketball.
So there's so many levels to unpack off of what he was saying right there. Like there's levels upon levels. But one of the things that I try to tell these young men in high school, on the high school level, is control your narrative. Control what you can control, being your behavior, being your grades, being who you are in the community. And, one of the things he was trying to express in there is that he couldn't control it because he had to be so many different people and there was no real identity. So if you can, how important is it to develop that identity outside of sports? And how early is it that you think that needs to be developed because you're a parent? And how are you instilling that in your children and the advice you can give to other parents?
Ooh, boy, you got the heat. Boy, you got the heat, bro. Oh my God, that is a loaded question. I'm going to unpack it as best I can.
It's okay.
How much time we got? We got 7 to 10 minutes on this.
Go ahead as long as you need.
Oh man, there's a lot there in that video.
Yes, there was.
Plus, there was a lot there that you just asked me. So I'm trying my best to balance what I want to say in response, my reaction to Beasley, and what you asked me specifically. So let me start here.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when, you heard of a guy named Elon Musk, right? Yeah. So Elon Musk, CEO of at least 2 companies that I'm aware of, Tesla and SpaceX. And we know that he's busy and active on Twitter. But I remember, and he probably still does this, talk about controlling the narrative and owning the brand, which in this context is you.
Yes.
You, Mr. Beasley, Mr. Blocker, Mr. Butler. Like we are our own entities. Elon Musk himself would take time out of his evening to respond to tweets from dissatisfied customers because his brand was at risk or being casted in a negative light. He wanted feedback, open and honest feedback. Why? Not so he can go play victim and hide and tuck his tail, but because he wanted to know what the perceptions and problems was so that he can do what? Raise it to the top of the list of priorities to be fixed. So this whole conversation about controlling your brand and not having control at some point in history and then having control, as long as there was media, whether it's newspaper, old school, billboards, local news station, what have you, news magazines, or social media and everything in between, we always have a say in what our brand is.
Absolutely.
100%. Now, the problem is that I see in Mr. Beasley, the crux of the problem is that he did not establish a brand or an identity consciously and intentionally early. I would say that he is aware of who he is because he said, like, I've been me before this basketball stuff.
Right.
Yeah, but no one took inventory.
Right.
No one sat him down and said at a young age, when they noticed that he had next level skills, was probably before the age of 10 when you realize that dude's going to be somebody.
He said at 6 in the podcast. He said age 6.
There you go. 6 years old. So to answer your question about what I do with my kids, you get a say in how it goes. Who you are is not predicated upon what you do in school with your grades, what you do, your athletic prowess on the field, what teachers say you are, what coaches say you are, what you say you are. And I want to make a distinction between the egoic self and the highest self, because there's a lot of dudes running around building brands off of the egoic self.
Only the ego. Yeah.
Only the egoic self.
Yeah.
And giving no credence or investigation or inquiry into who am I existentially and why am I here? Like, why did God see it fit such that I would exist in this moment in time, such that I'm the strongest of the sperm, the most ripe of the egg, coming together, surviving all of that, the trauma of birth, making it on the other side, 14 trillion and one chance that I'd be here. Right. Why am I here? What's my mission? What's my purpose? What difference was I called to make in the world? And build your brand from that disposition and then protect it as if your life depended on it by making sure who you are and who people say you are is aligned. And when it's not aligned because of rumors, gossip, to the best of your ability, getting out in front of it, whether it's through social media or a publicist or whatever the case may be, all you have is your reputation.
Yes.
And your reputation is the promise that you fulfill upon. That's your brand.
So now these young kids now with these NIL deals, and you got high school kids looking for NIL deals, and for those who don't know, that's a name, image, and likeness. And so for college, you can now get paid for your name, your image, and your likeness. And so now these kids are doing whatever they can do now to get this money from these brands, but I don't see enough being instilled in who they are. They're just trying to do whatever they need to do to appeal to the brand versus the brand appealing to them and what their culture and what their message and what they want to put out there. Kids are they just want to sign the check. So with that being said, when you hear something from an NBA player, this is a seasoned NBA guy saying like, yo, I had to be multiple people. So
hurt me, man.
When you are now, you're a professional and you have to go into different rooms, and then we'll peel it back and be real on this podcast. As a black man, we also at times have to be conscious of what rooms we're stepping in when we go into those rooms, because too black will sway the room a certain way. How do you suggest, in your opinion, and being in the business world, how do you suggest our younger people handle this now that they're being exposed to corporations at such a younger age?
There's two methodologies that come to mind. It's funny you said that, because earlier in my career, man, I code switch like it was like, putting on another fitted, man. Just putting on a new fitted right here. The older I got, the more I realized that if I couldn't be my authentic self, then this place wasn't for me. This company wasn't worthy of my talents. And I could say that with confidence. I never had an issue getting the job, make, multiple six figures. So as a youngster, the two methodologies are this. You could be an outward in brand creator, outside in. What do the people who I need to impress need to think about me? Okay. What do the people that I need to impress need to think about me in order for me to get the deal? And then inside out is, who am I? What do I stand for? What are my values and principles? And what brands align with me most authentically? I'm not going to say which one is better, because that's subjective. But I will say the easiest path, the most genuine path, is for you to align yourself with folks, brands, businesses, sponsorship partners that align with your natural self. If you're big in sustainability, you believe in global warming, and you align with some brands that's pushing sustainability, that give back to the community and take waste and turn it into viable products, and that tickles your fancy, then it's a marriage. It just makes it's a symbiotic relationship. It makes sense. But if you're like a blank canvas, like a chameleon, and you're waiting for an opportunity to dictate to you who you need to be to get that opportunity, it's a little inauthentic. But people do it all the time. Businesses do it all the time.
Yes, they do.
They do it for a very, very tangible reason, and I'm not here to knock that.
So then now, with you what you say in that piece, and before we go to the next one, you and I both came up in the projects, right? So now we younger guys, let's put us back. We're both the same age. You're 40, correct?
Yep.
So let's go back into the time when we in the projects and we know, we can get money right now. And you hear people say what we're saying, like, nah, make it fit for you. And meanwhile, that young guy thinking, yo, me and mom got to get out of this situation. Right now. Yeah. So can you talk to them and let them know, just in the reference of your personal experience, that the money will come through, like, as long as you're to your true self? Because it's hard to turn down that initial check when, people got to eat, you know what I mean? And sometimes in our homes, we are the man in the house, you know what I mean? And so if we can change our family's fortune, we're going to take that. But then it comes at a cost. Like, for example, I think about Dave Chappelle when he said, I signed an early contract with the Chappelle Show, and basically he signed his name away. But like he said, I had a wife with a child, but you needed that check. So talk to that point before we go to our next point of just all money may not be good money.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the first deal, you look at the music industry, you see this thing is prevalent. You're going to see it a lot in high school athletics, because NIL deals are being signed in high school now. Like California, you can get money as a high schooler. You know, we're having meetings now to build my son's brand so that he can start getting the bag before he even graduate.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say this to the brothers in the mud, like where we came from. Sorry about that. I said the mud and the dog got triggered. I said mud and the dog got triggered.
He's about to say, no, sign the deal. Sign the deal.
I think it always gets greater later. Now there's a lot of variables and factors. I understand people get hurt, so it's like, man, I got a bird in the hand is better than one in the bush. But if you got somebody like me as a dad or a consultant, I'm like, I can look at the trend and I can see where you're headed, your trajectory based on your athletic prowess, you know, how you carry yourself publicly in the interviews, marketability. Yeah. And if, like, for example, I'll use my son, make it personal. I got opportunities to sign with companies now, but they want money from me. Right. They want money from us. Yeah, we'll build his brand, we'll do his logo, we'll get him in front of this, and this. I got connections with Nike. It's like, yeah, okay, all right, what's gonna cost you $6,000? Ooh. You want me to pay $6,000 today to sign with you to help my son get a bag?
Right.
Okay, so now let's talk ROI. Who have you signed before? What do those deals look like? Oh, we're just getting started. Okay, well, you don't have a proven track record of success. Yeah. You don't have a model. These are all theories. And you want me to pay you up front?
Right.
No, we're gonna pass. We're gonna build the brand ourselves. I'm gonna go to Etsy, get his brand. I got connects on textiles to get his merch. Like we're just gonna bootstrap the thing, and then when he gets critical mass,
right?
You know, and he hits the blue check status on Instagram. Now all of a sudden, his value, because of his followership, viewership, level of engagement, now all of a sudden the deal, we can go direct to the end user, the manufacturer, the brand, and we can negotiate a better deal without having the middleman anyway.
Absolutely.
It gets greater later. I mean, that's a real example. Yeah. I know that's as real as it gets.
Yeah, absolutely. So in invest in yourself too. That's the big part that you were saying. Invest in yourself.
Bro, I made, to that point, I made a conscious choice to temper my market investments. You know, I do my 401k, my company match to the max. That's free money, no brainer. Mm-hmm. But everything else, like, oh, you get into crypto or you messing with these NFTs? Listen, I'm messing with the Butlers. Like, I'm investing in my wife. I'm invested in my kids because the ROI is not just monetary for me. Is the realization of them realizing their dreams is enough psychic reward for me to feel like that's part of my purpose. So if I'm not doing that, but I'm putting into the markets, I'm gonna bet on Elon. I'm gonna bet on Elon, but I'm not gonna bet on Aaron Malik Butler or Amani Butler or Alexis. Well, you know, like, but no, I'm putting my money on the Butlers.
Absolutely.
And I'm betting the farm.
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, even with what we're doing now, my sister and I, we're the ones betting on ourselves. We man the podcast, all that stuff. We do the graphics. We do that ourselves in-house. Like, there's no reason to outsource something that YouTube University can teach us, right?
I'm impressed, man. I was listening to your sponsorship video. Like, I didn't talk to him about how you actually really produce a pod. And sis, you're killing it.
She's behind. I can't show her. She'll be mad. So she's behind the sticks. I'm going to go into our next question, but let's roll the next sponsor.
Third Down, presented by Scotch Porter Brand.
How does Scotch Porter's beard collection compare to everything else?
Blend's nice.
I'm already a fan.
It's already soft. Just rub it like that.
I'm just not getting the same conditioning effect.
It's not as refreshing.
Maybe it's just me.
Yeah, the left side just didn't work for me. I'm gonna have to go with the right side.
Definitely this one.
Oh, definitely this one. Oh, yeah.
So another affiliate sponsor is Scotch Porter. I am a Scotch Porter guy. I enjoy my beard. I like it. My lady likes it. I haven't seen my chin in about 6 years. So, you know, I'm a Scotch Porter guy. Keep it healthy. And if you need any of the Scotch Porter brand, I have it all from the. As a matter of fact, I got it right here with me. See, I got all my Scotch Porter stuff. If you need, so if you need any of that, make sure you hit me up. We'll make sure the link is inside the bio, and we will take care of your shipping, handling. I think it's 10% off of your first purchase. If it's not, just DM me and let me know what's going on. So we're going to get into the next question. The next question is going to be, how do male athletes, coaches, we'll just even say, because we done took that stage, how do men, because we seem to have a problem with it, how do we ask for help? Now, once again, from the pivot, I was intrigued by Beasley and what he said, so we're going to run what Beasley talked about as a brother who was expressing himself, and then we're going to come back. So 1 second.
Like, what a nigga got to be in Delonte West shoes to get help?
It's crazy.
Right?
That's Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban reached out to him.
And no disrespect to Delonte West, and no disrespect to nobody involved in
That's a
shoes
perfect question.
Like that.
No, it makes sense.
But it's like, what does it take to do the right thing, right? Imagine somebody getting shot right there. What's the first thing you gonna yell? Somebody get him some help. We all eating good.
True.
Somebody ain't got no food. Somebody get him some food, right? Just a little bit on your plate. Somebody ain't got no money over. Yo, somebody get him some money. It's the same thing. Like how many different ways do a person gotta get shot metaphorically for help to be? You dig what I'm saying? It's like my whole life I asked for help. Help from my favorite athletes, from my favorite celebrities, from my favorite people in the world. Everybody, and it's like everybody just like either call me crazy or just, I don't want to get into personal shit, but like
Fred was talking. So once again, this brother unpacked. If this is an onion, he's just going through layers upon layers upon layers. And what he was talking about was he reached out for help from people that he thought would help, and nothing came back. And inside, like, I ain't gonna lie, I teared up a little bit as this brother's podcast was going on, because you can hear the pain and the hurt. And for it being so hard for men themselves to ask for help, just how do you do that? I've learned now as an adult, 40 years old, that is something that I probably should have did a long time ago, younger. But pride and all that stuff gets in the way. So in your personal opinion, and you can put on your father hat and say we're talking to the young people out there, man, how do young people, especially now, because, they tend not to, they got this chip on their shoulder, how do they ask for help so that they can help navigate this process for manhood, for being an athlete, all that?
Yeah, man, a lot to unpack again. Before I unpack it, I got to give a shout out to my boy, Sir Boffo, who is the dark-skinned brother with the big, thick beard in the Scotch Porter ad that you just read.
Oh, for real?
That's my boy. Like, that's my boy. We in the DM. I'm about to DM. If you can send me that clip, I'm going to send to him like, bro, you didn't even tell us you did a Scotch Porter commercial.
Yo, I'll send it to you as soon as we're done.
He's a photographer out here. I met him through my boy, Davon Ellis. They play high school football together. He used to play safety. So,
okay.
Shout out to the brother. Small world, man, living in Cali, bro. I think a couple things come to mind. One, I think it's a shame that, like, knowing what we know about mental health now, and knowing what we know about the dark side of being or pursuing high-level sports and athletics and like the tear down and all of that, there should be resources available. You watch Billions?
Yeah.
So Dr. Wendy Rhodes.
Yes. Dr.
Wendy Rhodes she's a part of the team. She's not like some third party that you go see when the SHIT hit the fan. Like, she's in-house.
Yeah. Through each decision.
Facts. Yeah. And she's fine-tuning, making sure that people are in the right or the appropriate mental state to perform optimally. I think there should be sports psychologists starting at high school. I think for sure at NCAA level. But there should be team sports psychologists in-house with their finger on the pulse so that they can pull Jeff to the side or Kenny to the side when they notice that Kenny's off his game on the field, in the classroom, his locker room leadership, whatever the case may be, and they can unpack that thing, get to the root of it right away.
Because you said, so like to your point, LeVar Arrington, for those who don't know, LeVar Arrington mentioned that if he had broken a wrist or anytime he had a problem with an injury, there was a million people there. But the moment he said he wasn't mentally okay, he was in a ghost town. Nobody actually was there to address the need. And even in this podcast that we're watching from the pivot that we're breaking down, Crowder had asked, like, so there was nobody on the team that you could talk to? And he just yelled, like, no, bro, like, there's nobody there. So the younger people, though, and I keep always referencing the younger people because these habits of not asking or these habits of not knowing how to communicate these needs start at a young age. And we have to identify that because, like he was saying, you know, if you see somebody who's hungry, you get them food. But if you see somebody who's not as all there emotionally, nobody, it's just like, you'll be all right, pat on the back. So, you know, if we can, let's just talk about for a minute, and we'll go to the next question. Let's just talk about identifying that as an athlete. So when were times when you knew it as an athlete that I'm not necessarily okay, but you know, for the team, for the school, just to get your mindset, you can't be in that place and play the game of football, not okay. So you got to shut that off. So talk about the valve of being able to shut it on and shut it off as an athlete.
Honestly, my story is my journey is a little different in that I didn't experience adversity. I had adversity since day one, but you know, when you grew up how we grew up, you don't even recognize it as adversity. It's just life.
Yeah.
So I didn't really experience adversity athletically until I went to college. So I was 16, 17 years old when I went to college. And that was my first time dealing with adversity. And that I internalized that adversity. That adversity was an injury and me getting, you know, coach just doing the most, like cussing me out. Like, I'd never been cussed out before. I was a star, period. And I was a star, you know, at Crafting Little Cougars. Yeah. So to go to Pitt and have Larry Courier tell me to get off the, is this a rated R show? Like, you
can go. Yes, you can
He's
go.
like, you know, you got to get off the tit, son. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? What are you talking about to me right now? Oh, you saying I'm a baby? Oh, you saying I'm on the nipple? Oh, okay. You disrespectful.
Right.
But in my mind, where I come from, you know, you get punched in the mouth if you talk crazy to people.
Right.
And going to college was the first time I experienced, you know, Caucasian men talking real reckless to the young brothers who could take a punch and can throw one. I'm like, I'll take you out back. Like this all could be over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that you know, for me, that breakdown of the adversity of being hurt for the first time, not being able to play or practice and losing my starting position and being yelled at, I was like, yo, what is this that's going on in my mind? Because I don't even know. I'm on uncharted territory right now. Uncharted territory right now. And I wish I had, and I had people in my life, I just didn't know to ask, to your point. And so I think it's on the parents and the coaches as early as possible to introduce the kids, the young people, into the conversation of communicating how you're feeling in your body, and what are you thinking in your mind. Just getting it out. Okay, so you got hurt, or you missed a tackle, or you got benched, or you didn't start, and you're playing. Like, have that conversation. What does that mean? Don't come from the place of blame and guilt and shame. Just a place of openness and love. Like, getting young people talking about their thoughts and feelings will make all the difference in the world. Make it normal.
Yeah.
So we sit around at the dinner table when we can all sit down. Normally it's eating out when we all together. And we ask these existential questions. We ask these thoughts and feelings questions. We make it normal for especially men, my boys, to feel. We always end each break, whether it's a phone or physically, you know, we're parting ways or we go to bed. It's always, I love you. You know, always, I love you. You know, hug my boys. You know, my wife hugs the boy. Like, you know, just showing that affection at home, man. It really is on the way to the parents to build that, I think, foundationally.
When did you figure out as a man, especially as a black man? Because, like you said, and we want to talk about something that Beasley said a little bit later that'll echo this. When did you realize it was okay to have those emotions and not hold them back? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because we never really just said I love you to people. That just wasn't what we do. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't come until we got older. So when did it hit you that it was like, it's okay to be all right? Like, hey man, I love you, bro, or I love you.
Man, bro, I was fortunate, fam. I mean, I grew up around some dope boys and some gangbangers, some thugs and killers and drug dealers. But they had consciousness. Maybe it's just God's hand on my life, but like the gangbangers that grew up in the projects where I was told me to get off the street. Like, hey, yo, RB, go in the crib, man. It's about to go down.
Right.
Or, I come outside and I'm begging dudes to put me on it. Like, absolutely not. You're not you're different.
Right.
You set aside, man. You go study, go to practice. Yeah. This street life ain't for you.
Yeah. You ain't built for this.
Like, how are you selling crack to your auntie, but you're telling me to get off the block?
Right.
How could you be the same person? How could you have this level of discernment to say, little RB ain't for these streets?
Yeah.
But you gonna sell crack to your auntie? Like, these is true stories.
Right.
And
right.
It baffles me, but I just think that going back to my childhood block, my dad was always affectionate, even though he and my mom broke up when I was 2. My dad was always affectionate, like loved on us, man. Big hugs. He would punch on us too and toughen us up. He was like extremely loving and a man's man, like super tough at the same time, right? Yeah. So like punch you in the chest, knock the wind out of you, kind of a thing. And like,
and then give you a hug.
Like, yo, Dad, I'm mad confused, man. Mad confused.
Yeah.
But I love you too. You know what I mean?
Right,
So he always told us that. My mom, of course, always told us that she loved us and we could do anything we put our minds to. My dad was like that. I love you. Always, I love you. So I became that way. That's all I knew. So I was always that guy that I would tell my guy friends, love you, bro. In high school. You know what I mean? Chuck Griffey, Rod Rutherford, Nate Brown, like love you, bro. Like, those is my brothers. You know what I mean? And so to fast forward, I think having a daughter, being a father of a daughter was the thing that really, really made me wish.
Yeah, buddy.
Really?
I got 3 of them, so yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
Who am I?
Yeah, buddy. My lady just told me the other day, you don't light up for me the same way you light up for her when she gives you a hug. And I'm like, what do I do with, like, as soon as her daddy and them arms is out, you ain't got no choice but to respond the same way. It's just it's different. Like, it's different. Yeah. So and the reason why I say that, man, is because as a coach, I gave my guys the floor to be able to express themselves however it came out. Because also I think a big thing, and for parents that may be watching and even coaches, these young people don't always have the ability to articulate the specific feeling that they have. So it comes out in certain ways, certain curse words, certain da-da-da-da. But sometimes it's just better just to get it out. And so if it's ugly, just let it get out, because we as adults have the ability to decipher those feelings and say, okay, this might be what you mean, and ask the questions to be able to pull that out. But I am now from the cuff of let these young people get it out. Before there may have been a time where, young people, they didn't really have much of an opinion. We tell you what your opinion is. But now, as we see that this mental health swing is going younger and younger with our kids, just there's so much that they're exposed to. We need to know, and it helps to keep that conversation, that dialogue open too. We got a question. Playing devil's advocate, a lot of kids are chasing the bag. The macho persona sells my, if I show any vulnerability, it will hurt my chances of scoring the payday or helping my family.
Yeah.
So I agree. Like, that's why I asked about the all money isn't good money. But I do think we live in a time now where the realer you are and the more vulnerable you are and can be, people gravitate to that. Like, and it's almost to a fault though, because so many people are telling so much business on social media. But the more that people can actually touch you or make it relevant to their life, man, it social media goes crazy over that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's really a balancing act, because you got those who are just crazy, cutting up, yelling on social media. That's a whole thing. But then those people that they cut on that camera and they can relate, and you show the struggle and all that, that's also a point too. So you speak on that one if you want.
I think you hit the nail on the head, man. I think traditionally our heroes were flawless. Like, we grew up looking at Superman, Batman. We saw Dr. King as flawless. We saw Malcolm as flawless. Marcus Garvey. that like we didn't even look at even in our culture, like the churches, right, where pastors are being deified in a way and being seen as flawless, and then when we find out that they human, it's all of that. When I personally gravitate more towards real models than so-called role models who are faking the funk. I think that there is a tremendous opportunity right now for athletes, more the star, the premier, the household name athletes, to do a little bit a better job at balancing that transparency. To your point, to Brother Richard's point, it's like to be vulnerable there is a groundswell of perception that says vulnerability is courage and strength, but there's still a contingent of people who believe that vulnerability is a sign of weakness. Like you never let them see you sweat. You never let them know what you're thinking. And to me, that leads to more mental issues, more mental health issues. So, yeah, definitely, you said it right. I think it's a balancing act.
All right, let's go to our next question. Our last down is the fourth down, and go ahead and play the sponsor.
Fourth down, brought to you by you. If you'd like to be a sponsor of the First and Goal 365 podcast, please reach out to me by email at firstandgoal365@gmail.com. We can set something up, and I'll run an ad for you right here. Boom.
So that's a spot, especially our Black businesses, our entrepreneurs, any of that. Let me know. I'll run a spot for you there. I'll shoot out the email or whatever, however you get contacted. I'll put the banner on the bottom. So get at me. You can DM me at Coach Ken Blocker or First and Goal 365. And my email is firstandgoal365@gmail and Coach Ken Blocker @gmail. So however you want to get in contact with me. So we're going to go into our last point and our last question. So our last question is, shoot it up. Identifying yourself outside the game. We started with it. We're going to end with it because once again, our last point with Brother Beasley and his podcast, it was kind of sad. He did not know how to answer the question when asked. And I want you guys to see it first before we go into it. So let me go ahead and play that clip.
But what I'm asking is, you keep saying all you want to do is play basketball. If that never becomes, I can play basketball for money again. If it's just, I just get to go to the gym and hoop, what else you gonna do?
I've been in the gym for 4 years playing basketball.
So what else can you do other than play basketball?
I can do a lot.
So let's do that.
Why?
Because we can't just take our ball home and die.
Says who?
Says I don't want you to.
Bees, we all gotta retire, bro. We all gotta retire. Sooner or later.
Yeah, but I'm gonna retire like how I wanna retire. Right? I can't live my life on your terms. Like I can't just let my dream die. Right? So no.
So that was heavy. And the reason why it's heavy is because we're not talking about a man that's in his 20s. Michael Beasley is 33 years old. And so the next part of that was Fred Taylor telling him like, yo, you might have at the most 3 to 4 years left on the clock. Like, so we got to get you thinking something else. You got a story to tell, you know, let's talk about this. And he just wouldn't go for it because he knew nothing besides basketball. Like he had nothing outside of basketball. So we talked about it earlier. Let's indulge in this now, because now for you were a professional athlete, but it ended. So what was that transition like for you? And then tell me some of the things that you went through, just being able to shed that off and say, all right, I got to start, you know, the second chapter of my life. Uh-oh, he's a mute monster. Hold on, mute monster. Go ahead.
So when I got cut, I was 20. The last time I got cut from the NFL, I was 26 or 27. Mm-hmm. And I had turf toe. Basically same thing Dion had, that he still ran a 4.4 with both turf toes, and not I don't run 4.4 with turf toe. He had one amputated.
He had two.
He had two toes.
Yeah.
So that sat me down. I wasn't ready to quit. I wasn't ready to retire in my mind and in my heart. So I kept pursuing it. Ended up playing in the AFL for 2 years, and then some semi-pro stuff. I mean, it was downhill from there. But I just loved the game. I would not quit. Let me say this. On that note, Beasley like not wanting to give it up. Can't nobody tell you when to hang it up. I don't care who you is. You could be out 4 years, 6 years. Dude, I was having dreams that I was getting signed as recent as last year. When I turned 40, all those dreams stopped. But before 40, bro, I was signing with I done signed with the Eagles. I signed with the Ravens again. I signed with the Falcons. I signed with the Chargers. Those dreams were real. They were really real. I was on the field. I could smell it. Like it was so real. But can't nobody tell you when to hang it up, bro. You just have to have that resolve within your own spirit. So I understand that 100%. Now, to your question about the transition identity, I'll say this. Luckily, I'm rooted in my spirituality, and so I always knew that I wanted to do. I always had a backup, not a backup. I always had another way to express myself. So I wanted to be an angel. Teacher told me you can't be an angel. That's not a profession. Pick something else. I chose football player, but then I was catching the bus downtown to get the Crafted from Broadhead, and I saw these guys in suits with briefcases. I asked my grandma, "What do they do? What do they do?" She's like, "Oh, baby, those is businessmen." I said, "Oh, they look like money. They got money. Well, I want to be a businessman too." Boom. Yeah. I would say this for anybody young, any coach, any parent listening. You got a young person, have this conversation. This came to me in a meditative state. I say through the Holy Spirit. I was my wife was like, "Hey, where my family's having the cookouts around 4th of July 2008 and 2007." And we just moved back to Pittsburgh from Kansas City. I got cut from the Chiefs. She's like, "Come on, baby, you want to go to the cookout?" Absolutely not. I don't want to see your uncles and all your aunties asking me, "Oh, you got cut again? Where you going now? How you going to take care of my babies?" I don't know. I'm not going. I stayed home. I prayed, meditated in that state. 3 things came to me. Spirit said, get a piece of paper, fold it 2 ways, make 3 columns. So piece of paper, long ways, fold it 2 ways, open it up, boom. You got your column in the middle. So first column, I want you to put talents. Second column, I want you to put passions. Third column, I want you to put expressions. Like, oh, I see where this is going. I want you to write down everything that you do that comes natural to you, like God-given. People have to practice, train to do that you do effortlessly. Easy peasy. For no reason. Like you don't even know why you're so good at it. Right. Write it down. Passions. I want you to write all the things that make you feel most alive, things that you would do for free. Shush. Wrote it all down. Expressions. These are roles or jobs like coach, teacher, preacher, life coach, businessman, motivational speaker, boom, boom, boom. Those things. And that's that gives you a peek into what my final column was, all those things. And then the real work begins, because now existentially you kind of get a sense for, like, you look at the talents and the passions and the expressions, you start to get, I get who I am as given by my talents. These are the gifts or the medicine that I am to the world. Each and every one of us got our own unique talents and gifts. Present to it, because your gifts are an indicator to your purpose. Your passion is another indicator of your purpose. All right. And then expressions, you get to create that, and however you want to express yourself in the world. My only advice I would give to anybody listening to this is that you get to design the expression. Back then, when I did this in 2007, I was referencing everything that I saw. So a pastor or a preacher looked like what I saw growing up. It looked like the robe, stained glass windows, in a pew, with the Bible, like that. That was the only reference point I had. It took me over a decade to realize that preaching is not an occupation for me. It is existential for me. It's part of my DNA, my personality. Doesn't mean that I have to, go to get my master's in divinity and preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. Like it took me a decade of grappling with this. Who am I and why am I here? To realize I get to design the expression from scratch. Correct. If nothing exists that matches what I have in my heart and my mind. So that's what came to me. It worked for me.
Sounds like a good blueprint, though, especially for young people.
Heck of a blueprint, bro.
Sounds like a great blueprint. And with that being said, because I always tell people that, because football, this is a Sports Center podcast, use the game, don't let the game use you. That's number one. and use it for let it open up doors to get you inside that normally it would be locked just because, you know what I mean? And I got that from Darnell Dinkins, where, the football helped him open up doors. And he said now his Super Bowl ring helps him open up safes. So, we're going to end on what you just said, because I want you to repeat it one more time for him, give him the 3 columns and go over those 3 columns one more time before we get your information in this podcast. So go ahead over that one more time.
Yeah. So my advice to anybody listening or anybody who is in charge of young people is to pray first. Pray, meditate. Praying is asking. Meditation is listening. I prayed and then I listened. I meditated. So 3 columns. First column is your talents. These are gifts. These are things that come natural to you that most people have to take classes and study and labor over to do. It could be anything. Be real with yourself. And if you're struggling with this, consult your best friend, your parent, or somebody who really knows you. Like, make it a 360 thing to vet it out, to see how true it is. Because you're going to miss some stuff. Being modest, you'll miss some stuff. But somebody who really is close to you, love you, will add another 5-6 things to the list. You'd be like, man, I didn't even see that. Well, because you don't see this, you don't know how great you are.
Yeah, right.
You see this as a wretched sinner, that one-dimensional person that can only play basketball and be case, All right. Second column is passions. These are things that make you feel most alive. It could be anything. When I do X, I feel most alive. When I do Y, I lose track of time. Typically, these are hobbies. They operate in the domain of hobbies when you're an adult and life pushes out all the time and you only got a little bit of time for your little hobbies.
Right.
A lot of times these are hobbies. And the third column is expressions. These are roles or ways of being. Jobs, roles, or ways of being. When I close my eyes and I envision expressing myself in the world, this is what I see.
Yes.
And for me, I saw preacher, teacher, businessman, coach, football coach, life coach, and motivational speaker. There were 6 things. And so I just operate in the domain of these. These are the 6 things. This is my lane. This is my 6-lane highway. And I'm being some, if not all of these things all the time, because it's essential and existential to who I am. I can't not do it. I can't not be it.
Right.
And so I just match myself up with opportunities that allow me to be everything that I just described to you all, unbridled.
That's it. So I appreciate your time, brother. Now, if anybody has any questions, because most of the time people do, they won't put it in the comments. They come back. You can follow Robb on their social media. Most of all your social media is just Robb Davon Butler, right?
At Robb Davon on everything.
Okay, cool. So I appreciate your time, brother. Thank you for coming out. Hold on one second. Don't go anywhere. I want to wrap to you backstage real quick.
Yes, sir.
And Sid, let me go ahead and close it out.